Next on the program, we have part one of a two-part series that we have for you this morning, 2 interviews around something we've been covering in the news. Are we dating the same guy? That's the name of a private Facebook group that's been set up for women only. The concept is the newest trend in online dating. Now, women join. They post names or even screenshots of photos or conversations with men. And then they find out from thousands of other women if they're on the up and up or if there are red flags about these men. Brittany Isfeld started the Manitoba-wide private group, or the Manitoba chapter of it, just 2 months ago. And it already has more than 10,000 members. We wanted to hear more about it, so we reached her where she lives in Gimli. Hi there.
Good morning.
Where did you get the idea to start this group locally?
It was a trending thing on TikTok is where I initially saw it. And because I live rurally, I'm not in Winnipeg, and there was already a Winnipeg group, I decided to do the Manitoba-wide version.
What was your own personal experience with, I understand you found out you were in fact dating the same guy as someone else?
So me and my best friend of 20 plus years, she's in Winnipeg, I'm here, and we were, having a girls' night one night and started talking about, boys, and a name came up and a picture was shared between the two of us. We looked at it and we realized that we were both talking to the same person. So, that was my own way before I knew this group existed. So, it was just natural that when I saw this, I thought there was a definite need.
Your membership numbers, as I alluded to in the introduction, exploded pretty quickly. Why do you think that might be?
You know what? I think, honestly, because it's all of Manitoba. So a lot of times, and I've heard this from many women in Winnipeg, they've got a steady relationship with someone and their boyfriend works away. Or they'll work, up north, and then all of a sudden later find out that they, in fact, were cheating on them in this other place. All the while, the girl that they were cheating with thought that they were the only girl. Now that we have such a larger area, people were jumping on it, and then there was all those connections were being made. And as a connection would be made, a girl would tell her girlfriend, you should join this, and lo and behold, in 1 month we were at 5,000. We actually just hit 10,000 yesterday.
I'm wondering whether or not it says something about the size of the dating pool, the potential dating pool in Manitoba.
I think it absolutely does. And there's been some discussions within the group of exactly that. I think that has a huge part. I think there's a lot more single women out there than there are men, and the men that are out there are dating multiples.
How do you describe the dating pool in Manitoba?
The online dating pool is weak. I think with the COVID and everything, a lot of people aren't doing what we used to do and going out and making those connections. So I think it just seems a lot weaker than it really is because not everyone uses online dating. So there's a huge majority of people that aren't at all involved and are completely single, ready to mingle, just not getting themselves out there.
How does it actually work?
You have to kind of check a bunch of boxes before we'll allow you in, and we do our own little digging. The premise is we hope that you're talking to somebody already, or that you've at least matched with them or met them somewhere and are planning a second date. But sometimes people will post a picture prior to going on the initial date to gather information. Many times someone, say, is going on a date tonight, and they'll post, say, does anybody have any information that I should know before I go out? Sometimes it'll be positive information, oh, he's a great guy, but sometimes it will be a few women saying similar negative stories. So it gives that woman the option. She can still make her own decision. Oftentimes she'll decide not to go through with that.
How often do women discover that they are dating the same guy or maybe even worse?
Too much. Too much. I get numerous messages daily of people sharing stories with me in confidence. I say wonderful because they got the clarity that they needed to leave in oftentimes abusive relationships. So what started as something kind of just more for fun has turned into something that is a tool for people to use, and it's making women safer. It's definitely become a safety tool. The bit of backlash we're getting is, how do we know if somebody isn't just mad and posting someone because they're jealous or an ex? That does happen. I won't deny that. But I have a very strong, dedicated admin team of 9 women from across Manitoba, some that I don't even know, that we do a lot of research. We will cross-reference if we have mutual friends with somebody. We won't let somebody post a vindictive post if we can't find some kind of clarity to it. We're very diligent in making sure that There's no words. Abuse is not a word that's allowed to be used. We understand that this could be detrimental to people if there's false information out there about someone. So we don't take it lightly. It's definitely not just a man-eating group, which a lot of people think it is. But there's been men that have even gotten great reviews by multiple women. So it's definitely not all bad, and it's a great tool. So many men are supportive of it. And the women in the group it's become a community. Everyone comes to bat for everyone. They're all supportive, empowering.
You said to even post on the page, that you have to follow a number of things that you mentioned. I just wanted to elaborate on a few of those because I'm on the page. There's guidelines about posting in the group, no personal information, no bullying, shaming, victim blaming, hate speech, no libel or defamation of character. However, I'm wondering whether or not it could become overwhelming for you.
It is, and I have been in contact with lawyers in the past because the first thing that somebody does as a victim of being posted is they'll instantly email me and tell me that they're going to sue me, which, don't get me wrong, the first time I got really scared. But then I spoke to lawyers, and because we implement things, like I said, we can't use the word abuse. We won't let somebody necessarily slander somebody's character unless there's, sometimes there'll be a whole bunch of women saying the similar situation that they've been in with this gentleman, and it's been negative. And we will sometimes keep that up and just monitor it just because we feel like it is information that the general public of the dating world needs to know in the event that they, cross paths with this guy or match with him or decide to go out with him. But we know that the more it grows, the harder it's going to be. But I have a group of 10,000 who look out for other people. So they can report posts. And if they see that it's, slanderous or misinformation, then they'll send it to us.
You mentioned that the women that are in the group have inspired you, I think was your language. Can you give me an example of sort of how it's helped, for example, like a story maybe where you felt really good that this page existed?
Oh, yeah. So one woman who was in a 13-year abusive relationship, one of those, stereotypical, the friends didn't like him, were trying to get her out of it for years, but she would hold him on a pedestal. She joined the group and very soon after saw her husband posted with multiple women commenting on it that they were speaking with him. So she messaged me privately and told me that she had the courage to leave. She's with her sister now. She took her children, and she's much happier and very thankful for the page because without that, she would never have had the confidence or even the proof to give her, the wherewithal to leave.
How do you feel knowing that this is out there and how fast it's growing about what your next steps might be? Is there a level where you get concerned where it's grown beyond what you can navigate?
We have 10,000 people. Vancouver has 40,000, and Toronto has more than that. And we talk to those admin teams as well. These sites are around the world. It's just important for people to know that it isn't at all a bunch of women getting together to bash men. We all understand that everyone's human, everyone makes mistakes, and everyone deserves a second chance. But this is for the safety of women. And unfortunately right now, in light of the things that have happened, especially with MMIW, this just really gives people an extra safety net.
Appreciate your time, Brittany. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
That's Brittany Isfeld. She's the founder of a private women-only Facebook group called Are We Dating the Same Guy? In the Manitoba chapter, that is. She lives in Gimli. Well, if ghosting and gaslighting and cheating are risks associated with online dating, we do wonder, as you heard in that interview, me posing some questions about concerns about the risk of slander or misrepresentation of a date gone wrong. What if that goes viral? Part 2 of our look at that Facebook group, Are We Dating the Same Guy, is coming up after 8 o'clock right here. We're going to talk to a lawyer after 8 about what he's heard, not just about, of course, the Manitoba group, but about the wider movement of these Facebook groups popping up globally. So stay tuned. Ari Goldkind is with us, criminal defense lawyer and legal commentator based in Toronto. Good morning.
Good morning. Great to be with you.
So this is a group in Manitoba, but of course, as we've heard, they are all over the place now and growing. What are the pitfalls of these groups?
Well, first of all, let's start with that nothing in Manitoba stays in Manitoba. The second part of it is in the intro you mentioned, everyone. Well, this is really concerned about one side of the story, and that's an important part as we discuss this. So while there might be 10,000 people on there might be 8,000 people who are not being consulted or spoken to who may have very different versions of events that lead to, as you say, some legal pitfalls. There is, without question, despite the warnings on the Facebook site saying don't libel or defame anybody, there is no way to prevent that. There is probably, as we speak right now, a tremendous amount of libel and defamation of character. Who's to say that there's going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of people there wrongly named there? And when you deal with adult relationships, there are, as we adults know, many, many gray areas. For example, who's to say if a relationship was believed to be casual, the other party was head over heels? There is going to be litigation out of this. I'm hoping it stays in the civil field, not the criminal field. But there are a number of legal pitfalls here that no matter the language on the Facebook group that says don't defame, don't insult, don't abuse, don't say things you regret, you know that that's exactly what's going to happen. The one thing you'll notice of this app or site or group is that there's 50% of the group that's not contacted. What I mean by that is 100% of the people who believe they're wronged or have been treated badly are consulted and able to give their voice. But you will not find a safe space to use that language or inclusivity, which is right in the Facebook group saying we want to be inclusive. Who are they not being inclusive of? That is the person, the guy on the other side. So a guy may read that, and despite a woman's best thought, which is she's wrong, she's 2 times, he's dating 3 people, you're doing this publicly. As we all know with Facebook, Twitter, Google, Instagram, you name it, these are not things that you can take back. They stay there forever. And if you ruin somebody's good name or reputation or you smear them, you may be looking at legal liability. And these things can escalate. It may make a bad situation worse, despite the creator of this group using all of this legal-like language, which is don't defame, don't abuse, don't be toxic. They know that they're writing that language because they know exactly what's going to happen in that group.
So if guidelines aren't enough to sort of protect people who may be posting here, what is? Or are these groups just something that you would advise people steer clear of?
First of all, if you feel you've been wrongly treated or you are going through trauma, there are counselors available for you. To go public and start bullying, shaming, blaming, not including the guy's side of the story does risk legal issues. If you really wanted to be in this group, there's a different question that should be asked here. Do you need to name the full name of the guy? Do you need to show his picture? Do you need to identify him so that he could be picked out of a lineup, to use criminal-like language? If this was a situation of sharing experiences, talking about bad experiences, you might call a guy Tom M. or Bruce W. Second, that you're doing this out in the open, leaving no opportunity for response. Remember, there's no truth meter here. So while a vast majority, maybe of this Facebook group may have good intentions and maybe even telling the truth, I'm not here to talk about the sociology of this. I'm here to talk about the legal issues with this. And it is without question that the reason that those guidelines are written right at the beginning of the group is because they know exactly what's going to happen within that Facebook group.
Has there ever been any legal fallout for these kinds of groups?
They are going over the world. There has been a ton of litigation about this. The one good news for the Facebook group, and I don't say this proudly, it's a condemnation and a criticism of the legal system I work in, is it's very expensive and difficult for a man or any person, quite frankly, who feels they've been defamed or smeared, go out and to rescue their reputation. Lawyers are expensive. Court procedures are expensive. That's why I would expect somebody who feels aggrieved here to not go after the creator, not only go after the creator of the group, not necessarily the person who posted it. That's probably the last area I would focus on. I'd also be looking at going after Facebook or Meta because they know exactly what's going on in this group. You would be looking at defamation and libel type of litigation, but absolutely throughout North America, there has been a lot of litigation like this, and I can tell you that judges are starting to take this more seriously, particularly given the long-term damage. This could affect somebody's long-term job prospects. This could affect somebody's long-term prospects in a number of ways. And remember, there is no truth detector on this site, particularly when you're using somebody's full name, but you're not giving them an opportunity to respond.
Just last, Brittany talked about the benefits of the group in her eyes, creating community, helping women leave toxic relationships. Does the good outweigh the potential legal snags in your opinion, or are these forums just too legally fraught?
Well, if you took the assumption that every single word that the 10,000 women on the group are saying is true, okay, maybe you have a point there. But if this is about protecting and and I'll use their language, protecting and empowering women from men who are cheaters, liars, or exercise toxic behavior, if this isn't open to abuse, just think through how rife for blackmail this is. You say to a guy, I'm going to post about you, your real name, I'm going to ruin your life unless X happens. Everybody is holier than thou during and particularly at the end of a relationship. And this is a group that, in my view, legally, and that's my answer, is unbelievably prone to abuse. And I guarantee you we will see that happening.
Thank you for weighing in. Appreciate it.
Great to be with you.
That's Ari Goldkind, a criminal defense lawyer and legal commentator based in Toronto. And if you want to weigh in, you can always let us know what you think of this. 788-3205 with ongoing coverage through the news this morning.
Thank you for watching the CBC Manitoba YouTube channel. And don't forget to like and subscribe. For the latest breaking news and top stories, download the CBC News app.